Hello, YouTube. It is Mr. Maclunkey here, back again in the news year with a very special news year video. So I was talking with my buddy Egnards the other day, as I often do over on his Discord, Slice of Odagunga. Shout out to the Slice of Odagunga if you are wanting to interact more with me in the general Star Wars community. That is the place to do it. So he had told me that I was probably on the chopping block. He told me that the raid score is essential and that he should have taught me that. So I reached out and said, hey, like, that's why I need your help. I need you to kind of back me up on this. He kind of just called me a miserable failure. Um, and so I asked him, like, well, what are the standards? Like, what is a respectable raid score? Um, he told me that he wasn't kidding. He says he hates Mr. Maclunkey and that he reckons we could do without Maclunkey. So I asked him, well, like, how bad is my raid score? Because, like, when I compared the two, it says we have the same raid score. And so that's when he clarified and said, no, we're not talking about our current raid scores. He's worried that my raid score for the upcoming raid is not good enough for me to stay in the guild. So I reached out and asked. I was like, "Hey, well, what should I be working on? Like, if my raid score is putting me at risk of being kicked from the guild, who should I be farming?" And he said he doesn't know. So I reacted to that obviously in a very user-friendly way, in a very kind of monetization-friendly way. Um, and he told me, "Hey, this should be your News Year video." So I was like, "I don't know what the fuck News Year is, but I'm gonna try." So I asked to see if I could get this raid guide approved with his seal of approval. I was like, "Oh, can you give me like a pending approval?" And he was like, "Nope, just approve it. It's funnier." So I typically don't like to follow his rules. So this is the official raid guide coming up. This is pending Egnards approval. Um, so this took quite a lot of doing. Because obviously there hasn't been any information about the new raid for 2026 released yet. But I was able to do some digging and I got a hold of a forum post 6 months early. So as you can see here, it does say this is intended to release 6 months later, but we have access to it right here and now on the Maclunkey channel. So it looks like the next raid is going to be called Escape from Mos Eisley. Starting off with a quote here, always love the quotes. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious. Chaos has erupted in the Mos Eisley Cantina. You'll need to blast through cutthroat bounty hunters, make deals with notorious smugglers, and avoid any Imperial entanglements to escape Tatooine, rescue the princess, and deliver the Death Star plans. Face the deadliest outlaws of the Outer Rim in a high-stakes standoff where only the fastest triggers survive. Get ready to navigate the shadows and claim your prize in this legendary new raid. So already, I'm pretty hyped. As many of you know, I'm a huge fan of Tatooine. I have like a Lego Star Wars collection that is kind of themed around Tatooine. Oh, looks like we're not starting with allowed characters first. It looks like disallowed characters. Your droids, they'll have to wait outside. We don't want them in here. Excellent call out. That's kind of fun. So I guess R2 and C3PO, even though they're kind of an important part of this whole kind of kickstart to the New Hope storyline, it looks like we won't be able to use them in the raid. So I mean, that's important information. So when we're kind of speculating a little bit later about what characters may or may not be allowed in the raid, we know for sure we can cross them off the list. So allowed characters. Okay, they're going to put a tag. They've been doing that for a while now. Nothing new. Early stages of development can't share the full roster yet. Okay. So, I mean, obviously, this is an early access version of the forum post that I've been allowed to test as part of their beta testing program in the forums. They tried doing this with in-game updates, and people got kind of pissed off at being allowed to kind of test the in-game updates. So this is part of a new initiative by Meathead to kind of beta test and release some of these forum posts earlier. So content creators like me can kind of interact with them, see if we can find any bugs that are a part of any of these forum posts. And I am seeing like the fact that they say escape from Tatooine and rescue the princess and deliver the Death Star plans, like those should probably just be commas and the one and. So Program's already working. Take note, Meathead. Maclunkey's trustworthy. So moving straight on. Okay, so we're not revealing the units that will be available, but it looks like we are revealing the bosses. Phase 1, Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba. He doesn't like you. I don't like you either. Just as you enter the cantina, you are approached by two notorious criminals who inform you that they have the death sentence on 12 systems. Defeat them and find a pilot to get off this rock. Okay, cool. So, like, I was wondering how a cantina raid would work. And it looks like they're going to kind of go through a few of the iconic battles that happened in the cantina. And the fact that I'm seeing phases up there makes me wonder if they're going back to like the OG heroic Sith format where you have kind of waves of bosses. I am honestly really excited if that's the direction they're heading. So it looks like we have a sneak preview of their boss mechanic, Wanted Men. The bosses apply stacks of death sentence that reduce targets' max health. Okay, cool. So like as you're fighting, they kind of are slowly whittling away at your max health. So like the longer the fight goes on, obviously, like the stronger, or I guess the weaker you get, not the stronger they get. Okay. Phase ability. So how are we fighting back against this? I'll be careful. Active unit gains wary for 2 turns, ability cooldown of 4. While wary, this unit cannot have its max health reduced. Okay, direct counter to Wanted Men. Gain 100% defense, instant defeat immunity, and a 50% chance to evade all physical attacks. If an attack is evaded, unit gains 20% turn meter. Okay, so that's pretty strong, actually. Strategy. Okay, time your usage of I'll be careful to evade Dr. Evazan's You'll be dead. Instant kill ability. So cool. I like they're being very thematic with a lot of these things. Seems like Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba will be, I imagine, just 2 bosses, no like mooks or anything like that. So it should be fun to see how that shakes out. Seems like very fun and thematic abilities. Seems like a good way to open this raid up. Let's see what we got next here. Phase 2, my boy! Greedo. Going somewhere solo? Seems like your would-be pilot has a price on his head so large that every bounty hunter in the galaxy will be looking for him. Luckily, Greedo has found him first. He's been looking forward to this for a long time. Boss mechanic, Maclunkey! Maclunkey in SWGoH official. Hell yeah. Let's go. Greedo gains stack of trigger happy every time he is hit, increasing his multi-attack chance and damage. Okay, so his little pew 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 is going to get triggered, like stacked. Oh, that's going to be exciting. Phase ability, I'll bet you have. Remove all stacks of trigger happy from the boss. Oh, we're going to cut off his pew pew. And remove all stacks of thermal detonator from the active unit. Okay, so we're really like just nerfing this guy. Active, cooldown is 3. Active unit gains quick draw for 1 turn. While quick draw is active, the next time the boss attacks this unit, the unit counters, dealing massive true damage that cannot be evaded. Oh, okay. So this is that whole little like head dodge special edition edit. Greedo shoots, Han dodges, and then shoots back with like this huge boom. Massive damage. Okay, cool. Strategy. Yeah, this acts as a way to counteract spots the damage ramp. Use the ability to reset him before he shoots 5 times in a row and wipes your entire team. Cool. Jabba. For those of you who don't know, Jabba is like mechanically one of my favorite characters in the game. Big fan of the bounty hunters, the whole contract and payout system. I think it's amazing. But we've got Jabba here. Phase 3. Han, my boy. You narrowly evaded his hired thug, but the crime lord himself stands before you now. Can you convince him to allow you to complete this one last job to settle your debt? Boss mechanic, debt to the Hutt cartel. During this battle, Jabba does not attack directly, but instead applies bonds of debt, which damages the team whenever they take a turn while his allies attempt to overwhelm you. Okay, so Jabba himself is just kind of standing back, aura farming, and like the rest of his goons are just kind of spawning in and like dealing damage. Phase ability, you are a wonderful human being. The active unit gains favored debtor for 3 turns, cooldown of 5. All other allies become suppressed for the duration. Suppressed allies are stealthed, cannot take turns, and are immune to damage. The favored debtor gains 10% Offense, 10% health steal for every 1% of Jabba's max health that's missing. Okay, so this is kind of similar to like that isolate sort of thing from the Treya raid. Strategy right here. So you can use it to save your team from the bonds of debt damage, allowing your strongest attacker to have a one-on-one negotiation with Jabba. I can tell you one thing: the negotiations will be short. Phase 4. Whoa! I was not expecting the Imperial spy Garindan to show up. Mos Eisley Spaceport, Docking Bay 94. Just as you thought you would be able to avoid any Imperial entanglements, Garindan, Kuba's spy for the Empire, has narrowed in on your location. If the ship's as fast as his boasting, you ought to do well. Boss mechanic, stop that ship. Blast them. Garindan does not attack, and instead he applies Spotted, a unique, undispellable mark, to a random ally every turn. While an ally is spotted, all sand troopers gain 50% offense and focus their fire on their target. Okay, so this is kind of like the Lego Star Wars battle, where he's just out there with the walkie-talkie pointing at your tunes and just spawning in waves of sand troopers. Honestly, it sounds like they might just be reusing the Lord Vader and clones mechanic, like just reskinning it for this final phase here. With him being like the kind of Lord Vader stand-in and then just spawning in some of those sand troopers. Phase ability, I've made a lot of special modifications. All allies gain modified equipment for 2 turns, which cannot be dispelled or prevented. Cooldown of 6. That's a big cooldown. This better be worth it. Modified equipment, 50% critical chance, 50% critical damage, and attacks ignore 100% of target's defense. Additionally, all allies have their cooldowns reduced by 2. Okay, so that is huge. This is your all-in button. I would say so. In the final chaotic phase, use this to bypass the high armor of the Imperial reinforcements, or to burn down the last Garindan's health. Okay, so they are confirming the Imperial reinforcements ability. So it seems like he'll have a crowd of sand troopers, and as you kill them, they'll have that little revive mechanic like you see in like Rise of the Empire. So, like I said, I mean, this isn't the full breakdown of what this raid's going to be, but it does seem like they are giving us a few little nuggets, some delicious chicken nuggets of hint here. So questions, Q&A. How does this raid compare to past raids? We have heard feedback about the pros and cons of modern raid design, and we would like to factor that feedback into our design philosophy. We wanted to bring back the boss-centric structure of the Heroic Sith raid. Thank God, we have all been asking for this for so long. I feel like even back during the crate raid, we would much rather kind of fight like some of these fun little bosses. Crate raid, I mean, it was still that one big boss, but once we've gone into the like wave-based design, it's been a pain. Okay, so integrate it with the modern wave-based design. So okay, they're kind of having some of that wave-based during the final round, but we get a few kind of cool. Well, it sounds like even with Jabba, he might have like some reinforcements and waves. So it seems like we're getting kind of 2 phases of like big boss and then 2 phases of like wave-based stuff. Seems like a good balance, but we'll have to see how it goes in practice. I feel like so much of that kind of boils down to, well, how quick is it to submit these attempts? How much of a pain in the butt it is, that kind of stuff. How long will this be the featured raid? Maintain the cadence of about a year. Always subject to change. Yeah, I feel like they have to put that. When will the raid go live? We're currently estimating late June or early July, but we do not have a set launch date yet. What tunes should we start farming? I recommend rewatching A New Hope and maybe the holiday special. Oh man. I suppose you could also read into the image at the end of this post if you want to. Do we have some spoilers in the next page? Will this raid have a Relic 10 tier wink emoji? Okay, so that seems like it's pretty much about as sly of a confirmation as Meathead is able to give us. Relic tier 10. Okay, so this is the image that they've attached at the end here. So we are seeing Chewie, Han, Luke, Femboy Luke, and the old man. So with this kind of lineup here, it's the people who escaped Mos Eisley minus the droids. So I feel like that's pretty much a hard confirmation on those 4 here. So moving into the speculation half of this video, these are some of the characters. I'm going to start with characters that are in game already that I think have a high likelihood of featuring in the raid. I'm going to kind of run through, and then as well, I'll get to some of the characters that I think might show up as like marquee era units as well a little bit later. So first and foremost, I do think these four being in that picture, I mean, he basically confirmed it without confirming it 100%. We are going to have these four. And something that is interesting too is he did mention that we are not going to have the droids. So I was a little confused at first when I was like looking through this. I was thinking, okay, so we have like 6 units that are a part of this kind of thing. Like we have the four mentioned earlier. We have the 2 droids. What sort of way would we kind of break this down? Would it be like Han, Chewie, and Ben, and then Luke with the droids? Like what would we be looking at here? Um, and I was like, are we doing like a 3v3 sort of thing for the raid? Are we doing a 5v5? And so at first I was like, oh, there's 6 units, so they might even be hinting that it's a 3v3 kind of situation for the raid. But then they said no droids, so now we have a team of 4, which brings us to my first real prediction, which is Princess Leia. So I do think they are hinting towards a 5v5 raid structure because I feel like it's more reasonable for them to say, hey, we've confirmed these 4 characters. There's 1 character missing that would complete a 5-man team versus, hey, like it's a 3v3 person. You need one of these characters to sit out. That might just be me. I feel like there's still a possibility that it is 3v3, especially considering it seems like they were kind of upset at the fact that we had so many underman teams in the last raid that they might say, well, if everyone's underman, no one will be, and just make it all three man. I think that is a possibility, which is why I have the 5% off. But I do think Princess Leia, even though she's obviously not present for that whole sequence, she shows up in the hologram on Tatooine, and if they were going to complete a 5v5 team, unless they add like a new random character, I feel like she's a pretty safe bet. So these characters, I have put them as either 100% or 0. These are characters who were also physically present. Greedo and Jabba obviously both being bosses, which is why I think 100% or 0. So these are the characters who were actually in the film, which I feel like pushes towards that 100% side. But as we saw with the Order 66 raid, CG did not allow us to have Lord Vader since he was the boss. So that makes me think, okay, maybe there's a low probability. Boba Fett, I think, pretty much confirmed. Like, he's iconic. I feel like he hasn't really had a chance to shine since the crate raid. So I think he probably could show up. Mob Enforcer I have on here. I felt like, I mean, obviously Mob Enforcer herself, like that character wasn't in A New Hope. But she's kind of just the stand-in for Jabba's like generic thugs, and we see a lot of Jabba's generic thugs in that special edition scene, and they do explicitly reference the special edition scene in Phase 3. So I think there's a high likelihood, because also Mob Enforcer, like Relic 3 to unlock Jabba, been sitting there worthless on everybody's roster. CG loves to take these old like Glub Shido tunes and just say, hey, you need to farm these guys to R9. So I can definitely see Mob Enforcer and Boba Fett being high likelihood. Boba Fett as kind of a gimme, Mob Enforcer as a like pain point sort of thing. Jabba and Greedo, they're either 100% or 0. I have no idea. So next, I was thinking bounty hunters as a faction, and especially bounty hunters that were active at this time. Not necessarily ones that were active like on Tatooine, but ones that were just active on this time. So obviously Boushh, I'm thinking more so the actual Boushh and not Boushh Leia. But I feel like they're not going to give us a standalone dark side version of Boushh that's just a regular bounty hunter. They'll probably be like Leia Boushh is close enough. We'll just allow that. Because I mean, she doesn't take the helmet off anyway, so who cares? But I was seeing Forlom and Zuckuss, high probability, just because odds are like they're relatively new tunes. They're not brand spanking new, but I can see them wanting to push them. Fennec and Cad Bane, I can see maybe they tend to like those. Dengar has a high probability of Boba Fett's there. I feel like those two go well together. Aura Singh was on Tatooine during the Phantom Menace. I feel like there's some way for them to say, you know what, maybe it's all the bounty hunters, maybe it's like a couple teams of bounty hunters, but I feel like the bounty hunter faction has a pretty high percentage chance. They might give us one or two teams based off of these guys. Next is kind of some of the expanded materials, not necessarily the Legends EU, but like some of the canon comics and things. Dash Rendar, I associate him a lot with Tatooine, just from the Shadows of the Empire game, like the swoop kind of stuff. And I feel like maybe if they do kind of break the teams up a little bit, like he's a smuggler, very much fits the aesthetic. Hasn't done too much in a while. Has pretty good synergy with Han and Chewie, so I can see them adding him. Dr. Afra, especially if it is a three-man raid, I can see them being like, well, yeah, we want people to invest in Afra, take her up to R9. This is a way to push them into doing it. Um, as well, I mean, she's got synergy with some of the other scoundrel droids and things from the bounty hunters. There's some overlap there. So I give this kind of like a 6-7% in terms of likelihood. Gamorrean Guard, again, similar to Cartel Enforcer, basically in the same camp. Like, we could probably see them. Because imagine them being like, hey, let's take Gamorrean Guard, let's take Cartel Enforcer, bump both of them up to R9. Ooh, exhausting. And then after the raid stops being relevant, then that's when they drop the Mob Enforcer R9 April Fool's Lightspeed bundle. So likelihood estimate, these are kind of a shrug. Tatooine, you got Jawas, you got your Tuskens. They could throw those in. I know some they had the Lightspeed bundles before at kind of these lower relic increments. They've had some relevance during the crate raid as kind of filler teams. Maybe they could be filler teams. Maybe they could push people towards R9ing their Jawas. Who knows? So next are kind of the Disney show characters. So we've got characters from The Mandalorian, obviously like Bo, Mandalore. We got Mandalorian in the Beskar armor. We got IG-12 and Grogu, Paz Vizsla, Boba Fett, Scion of Django. Like characters that are kind of either like ones that they want to push us towards, or Boba Fett, Scion of Django, like get a light speed bundle for. And then Kenobi, we have the Inquisitors. I don't remember which Inquisitors exactly were in the Kenobi show or not. I know Third Sister, Grand Inquisitor, and Fifth Brother were, which again might be hinting towards the 3v3 style, because like those three Inquisitors were directly involved in the show. But I can see them maybe being like, hey, let's do some cross promotion. Let's bundle this with like Disney Plus and kind of push these characters in. Could you imagine a Disney Plus bundle that like came with crystals or like a special pack or something? So now we are on to my pure and rampant speculation. So Akmina from the holiday special, he did call that out. I am still going to list this as copium because, like, I don't know, they'd either have to really have like a weird generic face on that character, or they might have to pay for licensing B. Arthur. Um, but anyway, great character. She's the bartender in the holiday special, sings like a little song. Um, Check out the holiday special of the Omicron Guidelines, my podcast with my buddy Stratos, fellow Awakened Mando Guild member. Um, we kind of dive into analyzing that film as much as it can be analyzed. Next, Rey Skywalker. So this is a character that we already have like a bunch of Reys. We don't have a Rey with the yellow lightsaber. And I think obviously Rey Skywalker would be a good name for that. I feel like they might try to save this tune for when the Rey trilogy drops, but this character might also be like an early marquee that becomes a requirement for the second Galactic Legend Rey, like Grandmaster Rey or whatever. Down the line, we'll see. Figrindan and the modal nodes. I did want to say I don't know if I'll get demonetized for typing or saying jizz, but Figrindan and the Modal Nodes are my all-time favorite jizz band. So I don't know if these would be like a whole bunch of tunes, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, I don't know if they'll be like a large unit and just be like, yeah, the whole Cantina band's there, or if they'll release 6 marquee tunes that are all Figrindan and the Modal Nodes. But maybe, I mean, if it's 6 new tunes, that could go towards the 3v3 theory. Oh, I've got 3 of my, I'm going to split the band. I got Figure and Dan over here. And I got like the rest of them over there. It could be a mess, I think. Um, Dr. Cornelius Evazan. Likelihood, I think 100% they're going to capitalize on making him an era tune. Will he be allowed in the raid? I don't know. But I definitely think we are going to get him as an era unit. Same with Ponda Baba. I feel like you gotta just give it to us. Again, who knows if they'll let us use him in the raid, but I feel like we're definitely getting them. Garindan, same thing. This character, I think, has the potential to kind of revitalize a lot of kind of the Imperial troopers. Because I know we have a Veers trooper team, we have like an Iden trooper team. Then we could also have a Garindan sort of thing. So maybe he is the leader. Maybe he's just a lifter with like a cool, unique. I don't know which one of those he would lift if he didn't get his own team. But anyway, pretty cool. Um, Wooher, the bartender from the films, I feel like again, like it's kind of a long shot. I'd put it probably about even with Arkmina. I would put Arkmina as a much longer shot if he hadn't mentioned, if Meathead hadn't mentioned the holiday special. But like, I just don't know what their abilities would be if they were in the game. But I feel like Wooher, maybe he could have some like anti-droid synergy. Maybe he's the General Grievous counter we didn't know we needed. Sand Troopers, I think definitely like the models, at least 1 to 5 models of the Sand Troopers. There's like a bunch that are already in Rise of the Empire on Tatooine. Like, just give us 1 or 2 Sand Troopers, because especially if we're having Garindan as a lead, we need some more troopers to kind of round out the roster. But even if not, I feel like at least 1 Sand Trooper, if not like 2. We could maybe even get like a large unit that's like a dewback Sand Trooper, or maybe even one where it's like a couple of Sand Troopers together, like a little squad, something like that. Over here, the Glub Shadow grab bag. I mean, statistically speaking, at least one of these guys has to be in, like, has to make it in. Honestly, it's probably a 0% chance that we're getting any of these. But, like, honestly, there's so many creatures, like, pictured here and just in general, that are in the Cantina scene. Like, we're getting at least one, like, weirdo alien or, like, Yuzum or something crazy. Lastly, I'm thinking, like, a full squad of backup Greedos. Like, we could get a full Greedo team. And I think that would be pretty cool. Because for whatever reason, all the Rhodians wear the same little vest. I mean, obviously, I can't speak too much to that because I'm also wearing the same vest. But I do think there's like a high likelihood. Well, obviously not a high likelihood. In my dreams, there's a high likelihood, but in reality, probably not. So now that you've watched the whole video, Egnards, even though this video hasn't been released yet, I know that that pending review of approval has got to be at 100% by now. I don't know how long this recording is, but I imagine that had to have been enough time for that to go through. So I'm going to award myself the Egnard seal of approval. So go out there, R9, your farm boy Luke, get ready to farm Ponda Baba. And stay tuned for more beta dev posts as part of this special program. Thank you all so much for your time, and I am excited to start this news year with the rest of you. I am so close to hitting 100 specials. I am so excited to see what sort of play button YouTube sends me once I hit 100. And stay tuned. I mean, as soon as I do hit that 100, I'll start work on getting that 100 subscriber special going. We'll be able to celebrate as a community. I'm in talks with Stratos right now to get the official episode 2 of Omicron guidelines in the works. As it stands right now, I think we're only going to get 1 episode in January, but in February we should be able to get episode 3 and maybe a St. Valentine's Day special. So stay tuned, keep me on your vision boards, and keep on manifesting. I will talk to you soon. Bye.